Welcome to the Sabo Ross Experiment. We have liftoff. Woohoo!
So we were talking about Avatar and James Cameron, and I think the main reason I think James Cameron, he's got such vision, he's very smart, is because he started as an engineer. It's James Cameron is one of the most fascinating stories of how he became a filmmaker I've ever heard. He lived in Canada, moved to LA to become a filmmaker, couldn't afford film school, so he started trucking. He got married and had a little house, but he would then go to the USC Film School library. He would check out all of the textbooks that the students had to learn. He did the classes.
So he did his own class.
He did his own classes based off the school books. And then he started doing special effects. He got hired by Roger Corman.
Did it?
And he did a bunch of effects for Roger Corman bad horror movies. But Roger Corman got hired and he did some of the main effects in the movie Escape to New York.
Really?
Yes.
That was a great movie.
In fact, one of the best effects he did is because they shot most of it, other than the Statue of Liberty shots, they shot in Kansas City. They were in the middle of nowhere. And so when they were in the middle of a field, it's supposed to be the park. Cameron painted the matte painting on a sheet of glass they put in front of the lens to put in the New York skyline, right? In the middle of a field, someone's cornfield.
You're like, here, watch this.
Just watch this, put that down. And then the other thing he did is the computer graphics in Escape from New York of the glider jet going to the place.
Yeah.
Cardboard boxes with blacklight tape on them to look like computer buildings hit with blacklight, and filmed 35 millimeter camera flying around a studio filled with cardboard boxes with black felt and blacklight tape.
Oh my God.
And it's the computer graphics in the movie were all done by him.
Yeah.
Those were the shots he was in charge of.
I see.
And then, he then got through Corman. He went back to Roger Corman doing really big B movies, and he got hired to direct a movie called Piranha 2: The Spawning.
No.
Joe Dante did the first Piranha film, and then he had to do a big fight with the producer, got locked out of the edit room, and this is one of the things I was really disappointed when he came to Ohio State to speak in January of 2010, right after Avatar 1 came out. I was so disappointed that he never listed Piranha 2. He's like, my first film was The Terminator. It's like,
oh, is that right?
I almost wanted to raise my hand and say, no, it wasn't. Because the only reason even though he disowns the movie, it's like, it doesn't undo the fact that you did direct it and tried to do it. And he learned a huge lesson. All the longer versions of his movies are never called director's cuts. Like Terminator 2 is called extended edition or special edition. Aliens, special edition, not director's cut, because contractually he had final cut. So he can't call it a director's cut because what you saw in theater is a director's cut because that's what his contract said.
I see.
So he had a lesson learned because he was able to be locked out by not having it in his contract. He learned an incredible lesson that affected every single movie he ever made after it. So to take that away from students that want to learn, that was the only thing he's done that I thought was like, oh man, why not impart that to everybody? That's an important lesson learned. But again, and not to say that he's arrogant, even though James Cameron would say himself that he's probably pretty arrogant. It was the arrogance of not wanting to have his name tied to a movie that he disowned. But at the same time, there's a crucial lesson that he could have helped everybody learn that he just skipped over.
Well, it just must be a really bad memory for him.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time,
bring it up and have all of a sudden all kinds of questions.
The irony of me saying that when I made in the year 2000, I made a sci-fi short that I pretend like I never made. And I have one friend who needles me with it.
Is that right?
I will still get a text of like, I still have the DVD. And I'm just like, oh man, like it is depressing to see the DVD image. Like I literally do forget I had anything to do with that movie.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's just the way memories work. There's ones you want to remember and other ones you'd like to forget.
Yeah. And that's what happens. That's what happens is, yeah, and that's the thing about making movies is you should learn on every movie. There's something new you should be
Well, you learn, I don't want to do that movie.
That does happen on occasion. That does happen every now and then.
I wanted to switch to the other subject.
Okay.
So
we're just taping right now. So why don't we get quiet?
okay.
You guys are live.
Yeah, we know.
He didn't pitch it back on. I mean, we can, but
No, I just want to make sure you guys.
yeah.
Yeah. Once the sound went out, I decided we did enough of that.
Carry on then.
So we're on the wide shot, so you can go.
So I wanted to talk a little more about AI and how it's getting involved in everybody's life, whether they like it or not. So a couple things have happened since just in the last couple of weeks since we've talked about it. I know you seem to have a little bit of Facebook or Zuckerberg. You kind of have a little bit of bitterness.
More than a little.
What brings that out?
The reason I don't like Mark Zuckerberg really at all is I can understand he has this belief in the laissez-faire, the hands-off. He has this belief in free speech that's so intense that he will not allow there's any form of censorship. Like he's had this big reaction because when he did step in under pressure, he got criticized for it. And then when he doesn't do it, he still gets criticized. I can understand that. But the problem is there's a difference between free speech and abuse. And he's like, well, abuse is not my problem. You deal with it with law enforcement. But law enforcement doesn't know shit and doesn't care about social media. They're like, if it's not in the real world, it's not real. So Zuckerberg is allowing his tools to be used for extreme abuse. He could take more action to stop it, but he chooses not to. And the worst part is that first there were humans that were resolving all the issues.
Yeah.
Then he narrowed it to humans in other countries that are dirt cheap labor. Like you're getting all these people in India that's like, okay, to reconcile this reported abuse, I have to approve 75 of these in an hour. So that's under 5 minutes to review context to non-English speakers with non-colloquialisms that they could understand and make a decision that could have a severe effect on someone's life and mental well-being. Like a child being abused by fellow students. They have under 5 minutes to determine was that abuse or not and say, no, it wasn't. And this poor kid is stuck with like being labeled something they're not and make their entire life miserable.
Man.
So to me, the fact that it's basically Frankenstein's monster. He's created a monster and he doesn't even want to try to control. He's like, it's its own thing now. He can do whatever it wants. And I don't want to get involved.
Well, this might only compound. So, he's got several different, first, when he changed from Facebook to
Meta.
He's working on the metaverse, and I was all excited about the metaverse, and then everybody made fun of me, and it never really materialized. But it still is, but it's just growing a different way. Basically, when I think about the metaverse, it's an alternate reality that a lot of films are based on, other places where you can just go and be someone else. Let's just say that's kind of like what I think of alternate reality. So then this whole thing with AI, and they built this large language model called LLaM, and he made it open source, thought it was a great thing because, why not make it open source? Let people use it to develop new tools. Sounds good. But OpenAI came along at the same time. There's a couple others. I can't think of them at the moment. But now that is all out there. The next phase, what's going on now, the next phase, what we had talked about where things are becoming agentic, becoming actual thinking beings. So Llama is not working the way it's not growing.
Okay.
So his solution now is he started a new division for superintelligence. So he has a new company that's called like Meta Superintelligence, like MSI, something like that. He just started it. And what he wants to be where they're all heading to superintelligence, where the computers now can think like humans. That's where they all want to go. And he's out poaching. He first is trying to poach everybody from OpenAI, Sam Altman's top engineers. So this is what's crazy is he's offering $100 million signing bonus to get top-notch, steal them from OpenAI. And that's just like a few days ago. All this has been happening. But Sam Altman is, he's kind of laughing a little bit about it, but he did lose some people. And then Zuckerberg went and bought, he couldn't buy it. He tried to buy this particular company, this AI company. He could only get an investment in it, like billions of dollars, and to get the guy that runs it. And I can't think of the name of that company at the moment, unfortunately. But he is trying to now build a new empire for superintelligence. And then at the same time, what's happened is where people are going to start to really enjoy AI, where Google search has now integrated its Gemini AI right into your search.
Yeah, if people haven't noticed it, the first answer to every Google search is Google's AI summary.
The summary, and it's great. I like it.
It's been pretty good so far.
But they added something new to it now. So say you open up your Google, your search bar, and you type something in, okay, and it brings up the search. Well, now, as soon as you do that, look to the left, it has, they call it just Google AI.
Yep.
And you have to click it. It's different than the
summary one. Yeah.
So then it goes into like, now you're actually using their Gemini to do a deeper dive instead of going somewhere else.
Yeah. And my friend from Seattle named Maurice, the one who really has been trying for years to get me into ChatGPT before now I'm all in with it.
Yeah.
He said he uses it for search engine instead. He's like, I use ChatGPT and AI to do all my searches now.
And that's what Google is worried about. So they're trying to make it much easier before you get too involved, before ChatGPT figures out a way to integrate it into their own browser or something. But what's important about it is that new search thing. The reason why it's important that you stick with that. So if you have a website, you own a store, you own a business. The problem is your algorithms and where your advertising or where all your business is coming from. So if you stick with the Google AI that they have put in there, you don't need to do anything to change your SEO or any of that stuff because Google does it for you automatically right now. So you don't lose your leads and things that are already built in for Google. Because when you go to the ChatGPT and search, your business could be left out.
Yep.
Because you need to train. That's another whole game that I don't think businesses realize yet, that in order for your SEO to work properly, if people are using ChatGPT, you got to make sure you as the owner got to go to ChatGPT and find out what it knows about your business. And if it's wrong, you need to train it
and correct it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's resistant. Like one of the things I found with Grok, the AI from X, is it'll learn things in a conversation and forget it instantly when you ask it a similar question later.
Is that right?
But at the same time, it does learn over time.
Yeah.
Meaning, you can have this thing to where it says something about me that isn't true. And I'll be like, that's not true. And I actually have to do things like upload evidence.
Yeah.
Upload links. It's like, no, you said somebody had tried to teach Grok AI that's like, I lied about these film awards. And it's like, no, here they are. Here's the links. Here's the URLs. It's all true. And it took me a month of like once a week telling Grok and sending it the links. Like, yes, I really did do this. You can't tell people I didn't do it because it's true. Now you have the evidence. You have to remember it. It took a month, but now it remembers and says, someone online keeps trying to say he didn't win these awards, but clearly they exist. And so it did correct itself, but it took a month of training.
That's too much.
That's too long.
Yeah.
So the problem is the way you can lie to it. And more importantly, it doesn't check the sources. Like if you have somebody that writes on their website, it's like, I was the king of France.
Yeah.
It'll say, it's like it says, I verified on the internet that he's the king of France. It's like, he's the only one saying that. It's like, just because it says on his website doesn't make it true.
Well, the big news that came out last night. So, they're trying to pass that big, beautiful bill, right? On one thing. Well, one thing that the House, was it the House that's voting now, or is this
House is today's?
Okay.
House had to send it to the Senate. Senate sent it back to the House for final ratification.
Okay. Well, then the Senate, what they did overwhelmingly, both Republican parties in it, that bill was where AI, there was no regulation of it. And 99-1, they said, no, each state should have the right to regulate AI in that state. Leave it to the states. Now, that's kind of weird because it's such a worldly thing. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Yeah, you can't.
But they took that language in the big, beautiful bill, and it's now removed so that it can't just be a free-for-all for AI.
Yeah.
For example, today's July 3rd, so it's prior. It's not a holiday, but so the New York Stock Exchange closed at 1:00 today. Now, nobody was talking about, but I wanted to verify. So I went to Alexa. I said, Alexa, what time stock market closed today? Is it closing at 1? She comes back, nope, it's not. It's up until 4:00. And I asked her again, and she said the same thing. So then I said, Alexa, you're wrong. It closes at 1 today. Then she comes back and says, oh, yeah, July 3rd, it does close at 1:00. And it was just like, she changed her mind by me telling her to change her mind. Now
I had a similar thing today to where Chat GPT keeps making the same suggestion. And it's like, I already told you that's not what happened. How many times do I have to correct you? And it says, no problems. I'll never do it again. I'm like, oh gosh, you will do it again in 5 minutes. And she did it again in 5 minutes. And it's like,
yeah. There's quite some annoying things with it for sure.
They're bugs. We're trying to. There's several things, but think about it on the concept of how many calculations per second it has to make to remember everything across multiple conversations.
Yeah.
There's just too much for the RAM to handle.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that they're fixing. So Micron, for example, makes solid state, the little memory things, the solid state hard drives and things. Lexar, for example, is an MU product. They constantly are upgrading how much memory they can get in a space. So the CoreWeave, for example, is a data center company who houses all the GPUs. Today, the announcement was CoreWeave is going to be the first one to get the new NB300s from NVIDIA that are now faster, smarter, smaller, etc. Well, the other ones are still getting the 200s. So as what you're saying, it really comes down to these upgrades of the hardware in order to process fast enough, have enough memory, have enough speed to correct what you just said, where it can remember, maybe also reprocess quicker and keep that stored longer.
Again, I think where things develop over the next 5 to 10 years are going to be terrifying.
It's going to be terrifying.
I mean, in 4 years, the difference of Chat GPT 4 years ago to today is night and day.
Yeah.
And again, what's shocking is how bad Siri and Alexa are.
Yeah.
I mean, my iPhone 4, Alexa was amazing. Never had any troubles. It got the right maps, it got the right phone numbers, got everything right. Today, I get so furious if I'm in the car and I'm like, I need directions to this. Like, did you mean this? I'm like, that's not even close to what I said.
Yeah. Well, Apple made the announcement either yesterday or the day before that they're finally considering either OpenAI or there's another independent large language. I wish I could think of the name of them at the moment, but everybody's saying that Apple should buy that company because they clearly don't have the ability to make Siri right.
No,
they don't.
In the same way that we talked about this a while ago when we first brought it up, it was like, man, did Amazon miss the boat when it came to making
Yeah.
Alexa better.
Yeah.
To make it more connected. Like you can ask it basic things of what time does the movie start.
Right.
But it should be tied with their own version of Chat GPT by now.
Well, it
They're that
is.
level. But it's to me, it's failing miserably.
Well, I don't know if you've done the upgrade or not on your system.
I'm on a Gen 1 Amazon Echo.
I mean, we had talked about it. Yeah, they've done it. Andy Jassy, the president of Amazon, he came out, I think it was yesterday, he came out and he said, look, here's what I did. I wanted to place some bets on a horse race. So I spent 45 minutes with Alexa. We went back and forth. I got all the stats that I needed. I got all the history of the horse, weather condition, but whatever you needed to know. And he had this conversation back and forth with Alexa to finally decide what horse he was going to put his money on. So I guess that was maybe his big test, but I don't think everybody doesn't have it. And of course, I think you've got to have a hardware upgrade too, because like she said, Gen 1, I mean, yeah, you know.
Oh, do you know how much trouble? Like my roommate and I each had our own Amazon Prime accounts and separate Alexas in the house. And we were trying to get all the lights on one. So I surrendered and said, we'll do it on your account. So we had to log into his account on my Alexa app on my phone and then take all of my apps and convert them to his account for all of my electric outlets and apps and bulbs and stuff like that.
It's still too complicated.
Here's the funny is now that we're on his account, it all works great in terms of like the biggest thing is I'd be like, Alexa, turn on the bedroom light, and it would turn on his light, not mine. And it's like, in the middle of the night, that becomes a problem. At 3 a.m, I don't like turn on the light. It's turning on his light, not mine. That's a problem. But now that's all straightened out, and it works so much better. But you know, I love the smart plugs. I love that kind of thing. I just wish there was more to Alexa than what it is. Like I did have for a while. I had the Samuel L. Jackson weather. That was my favorite.
Oh. Well, I mean, there is now multiple voices for it.
Yep.
But there's going to be more. They have put a lot. They're developing their own silicone, so they're not really using NVIDIA. They're making their own chips. They still have been about their cloud. You know, it's where they make all their real money off their servers. But it's going to happen. And there'll be more and more players in it.
Yeah, I think in time, that's all going to level out. It's all going to become even more interesting. House builders are starting with smart outlets and smart homes.
Are they finally?
Oh, yeah, for the last couple years. I don't know why. I love my house. In a month or two, it'll be 12 years I've been there. Zero interest in ever leaving, ever. And I still look at like real estate videos all the time in other cities that I've visited and been to. Like I look at real estate videos every single week in El Paso, Texas, where I used to live, and I have zero intention of ever moving there, ever. But I watch real estate videos all the time.
No kidding.
And these new builds start with smart homes. I mean, they have the equivalent of an iPad that's replaceable built into the wall and an easy way to replace it with the newest model later.
Yeah.
It's just shocking at how quickly that's changing, and that's not a bad thing.
It's probably not a bad thing. I just wonder what the skill set needed for certain generations of people. It'll be a little challenging.
Yeah, again, my father is 85, and turning on the surround sound is a challenge.
Yeah.
Just the power button on it alone is a challenge for him. It's like, I will get a call to drive 20 minutes over, 20 minutes back just to hit a button to turn on the surround sound.
Well, I tell you, I am a critique of, since I do a lot of reviews for things, I am a heavy critique of a remote control because size of your thumb, placements of the buttons, the size of the buttons, critical parts of the remote. What idiot makes a remote where every button is the same size and the remote's only this big? I mean, come on. I mean, if it's smaller than my hand, I'm not happy. I like the longer remote, but the key things, volume, mute, channel, on, off, those are like things that are difficult for people if they're hard to reach with your thumb and are hard to see.
Oh, my big thing with remotes is this. Like one thing you hit on that I love is the size of the buttons.
Yeah,
because as just in the last year, my eyesight's gone so bad. A remote with clear on off and where it's at and the size of the button to be able to see it. They have to put on glasses to read it is ridiculous.
It's almost like Braille in one regard. If you make the buttons enough difference for the ones that you really need, you don't need to look at it. You can feel it.
Yep.
You know?
So yeah, that's one of those technological things that smaller is not always better.
No. But those basic kind of things, I don't want that stuff to disappear because you get into a car now, Apple CarPlay's got it so complicated. It's like I still like some of the buttons. Like, how do I turn the radio on and how do I just find the station on some of it now because it's all touchscreen or it's somewhere down here where you're taking your eyes off. I don't think it's that great of an idea to make everything a touchscreen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the thing in my car that sucks now is all of a sudden, randomly, one day after an iOS update, I can't connect Bluetooth to my car without rebooting the phone. It's just so annoying because it's like, this is basic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I even went through yesterday, leaving here. Yesterday, I had the stop sign. I was like, oh, I'm going to delete this old Bluetooth iPhone of mine.
Yeah. Oh.
And whoever owned the car before me, their iPhone was still there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, deleting that.
Yeah.
And so the only one is this phone.
Yeah.
Still won't connect unless I reboot.
Well, I got the same problem on my car where as soon as I get in the car, I got the YouTube TV on. I'm more just listening. I'm not really watching. Bluetooth kicks in, but it doesn't come on in the car and it shuts off the volume on the phone. And then I'm like, I'm already driving.
It's streaming and you don't even know it.
Yeah. And I was like, I can't figure it out. So I have to get on my phone, turn the Bluetooth off just so I could still listen to it on my phone. I don't understand why it's so complicated.
It shouldn't be. And it's just, those things just drive me insane.
Yeah.
But the simple things that shouldn't be complex become complex. And it's just...
Destiny.